Are you willing to bend the truth just to make a sale? Well, we hope not. Today, we're here to help you understand the difference between promotion and deception. And if you stick around till the end, we're going to give you strategies on how to make your marketing more authentic and effective. Hey, welcome back to Blunt Force Business. I'm Brian LaFauci.
And I'm Patrick Marino.
And in this episode, we're here to help promote your business without being a dirty, stinking liar. As always, we're here to jump right in to teach you how to better market your business. And we're going to go right through to the Blunt Force facts to get started for today. So our 3 Blunt Force facts of how to differentiate you from being an authentic marketer to a dirty, stinking liar is Blunt Force fact number 1 is that short-term wins can lead to long-term losing streaks.
Reputation is everything. So if you get used to lying to people and are making false promises, you're going to get a couple of easy wins at the beginning. You're going to find at the end, you're going to have bad referrals. You're going to have bad juju out there, and it's going to hurt you at the end of the day.
Blunt Force fact number 2 is that trust is hard to earn and easy to lose. It's like Equifax and TransUnion credit reporting. You work your ass off to build it up, but it will fall apart like that.
It's like that meme we talked about in one of the other videos of Christian Bale.
Yes.
Where he's like Batman and he's buffed as hell. And then it takes a year to build that freaking Adonis body. And then you let yourself go for a week and you got a freaking big pot.
Blunt Force fact number 3 for today. You can't just hide behind the curtain. Small fine print might be clever, but it could lead to legal repercussions.
Awesome. Let's get into it.
Cool. This is a struggle, I think, for many business owners because we see so much stuff out there that toes the line of this. And I think that's why, one of the reasons we're having this conversation today and to help our listeners kind of manage this, because there is a lot of stuff out there, in my estimation, that, and we all would agree, we've experienced things that you buy a product or service, and at the end, once you go through the process and you see how it lays out, you're like, that was such a friggin' scam.
And you also have experienced this, especially as you become more savvy at selling your own product. You've probably seen things that worked and tried to implement it. I can think of like a really easy one. Go ahead. That kind of like is like in this gray area where it's like, if you opt into an offer, right? You're going to buy a product or you're going to, and it's like act now, sign up now, right? It's giving you all the marketing languages that creates this urgency in your head, and you click on it and then you get the little clock at the top. Right? The little countdown. It starts like you've got 5 minutes. If you lock in at 5 minutes, we'll lock you in. Right. Right. And as you become better at business and you do more research, you understand that that's like a widget. Mm-hmm. You can buy that widget and put it in your website. And it's really only there to give people the false sense of urgency and scarcity, right? This is going to disappear. If I don't do this in 5 minutes, it's going to be freaking gone. Right. And it's like gray, right? Because it's like, it's not really lying to you, but it's like putting it up there and saying nothing. You see the countdown. You're like, I freaking got to do it. If I don't do it in time, I'm not going to have enough time. And then realistically, if you go back and reload it, a lot of times it starts over.
Right at the beginning. Or the one, let's just start, before we go that road, I think there's one key thing. I want to build this from the bottom up. And for our listeners, and I think the bottom of this, the lower Maslow hierarchy of need here, or the foundation that the Colosseum,
Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we're getting fucking deep.
The foundation that
we're in the blunt zone.
The blunt zone. The foundation the Colosseum is built on is value. So if you want to know where you have to start with any of the marketing nonsense, we're going to talk through the gray, because we're going to spend a ton of time in the blunt zone, which is a gray area today. There's going to be a lot of gray here, and we're going to help you tease that out. The foundation of authentic marketing lies in value, and you can take that to the bank, the blood bank, Senator. Steven Seagal. You're a movie guy. Okay? I knew you'd like that.
I watched Under Siege the other day.
Great movie. Value. It all starts with value. So you have to be able to look at the product, the service, whatever it is. It's the most critical thing, and say, is there real tangible value in this offer?
And I think that if you do offer the value, that some of the gray area marketing tactics, like the little countdown, I think is a little bit more justifiable. You know what I mean? If you're saying act now or you won't get this, if that's worth it and you know that it's worth it, then I think that's where the authentic and effective authentic, because you're offering something that actually really is worthwhile. They really should take advantage of it. It'd be crazy if they didn't.
And the reality is you can trick people.
Yeah.
It is not crazy to think that we're going to trick people through our marketing. It happens all the time. How do you do that? Well,
I mean, I've worked in a couple of the more awful examples of these. Two of them. One, I worked in substance abuse treatment where literally there was one well-known treatment center that was advertising on Google keywords for treatment. And so there's a really, really well-known one, like a historically well-known one on Cape Cod. They would advertise on those keywords with that name of that business. Mm-hmm. And if you clicked on it and called them, they would answer it as if they were that business. They would lie about who they were. So I could tell you, let's say it's Joe's cocaine abuse, substance abuse
Jesus
treatment.
Christ.
Joe's is like super famous. They've been around for freaking 50 years, right? This other company would advertise, you look, I'm just looking for Joe's treatment center. They advertise, we're Joe's treatment center. You click on it, they'd answer the phone as Joe's. They weren't Joe's. They were doing it because it's so much, having these people was so much money.
Right.
And the other thing that was happening in that industry is because the industry is being floated by Blue Cross Blue Shield was paying thousands and thousands of dollars for an admit. Companies that didn't exist as treatment centers would advertise, have a call center, get the call, and they would sell the client to the highest bidder. And these people were going to these terrible treatment centers. They were dying. I mean, basically there's a big crackdown in the industry because of it. And so like talk about freaking deceptive. These are just
claims.
terrible. Misleading claims though.
That's a far end of the spectrum.
I worked in supplements.
Yes.
Supplements is full of misleading claims, right? And it's like, this is going to do this for you, right? You're going to take this, you're going to lose more weight, you're going to have more energy, your skin's going to look better.
Right.
I mean, people, I mean, there is some crackdown, but I think generally the problem with the crackdown is you don't get cracked down until you are on the radar.
Yep.
And you don't get on the radar until you have success. Like until you've had success selling a ton of these supplements that are misleading people. Like if I was just selling a weight loss product, and I'd never sold one before, and I was saying, hey, you're going to lose, 20 pounds within a week. I'm not going to be on a radar yet. I'm not going to be on a radar until I've sold, hundreds of thousands of these bottles, right? And I'm a multimillionaire.
Right.
And now it's like, Facebook's like, you made this misleading, take it off. You know what I mean? But I've already made all my money, so I'm out of there.
Right.
There's a lot of hit and run.
I mean, I think we see a lot of that in our listeners. These are ways where you can kind of identify what we're talking about. You go into the grocery store and you will see things labeled natural, cage-free, eggs, chicken. That word natural is thrown around a lot.
Have you seen, the guy who did Super, you remember Super Size Me?
Yeah, of course.
The guy who did that did another one on food. He did the cage-free thing, and in order for technically for them to be cage-free,
yes,
they have to be there's this little part that exposes them to the world,
yeah,
and they can walk around in, and they're still they have no room to move, and they can walk out, kind of outside, and that allows them technically to be cage-free,
right. And I think the problem is that we're desensitized to this, and I think there is a definite value for you as a business owner to understand that the world is looking for honesty in marketing. And we are looking for this shift. Your clientele is looking for a shift. They're looking for people to give them truth and honesty in what's being presented to them, because there's a fear that what's out there is not real. We just have so much of this is exposed.
There's a couple.
What about non-toxic dad who exposed? I mean, it's a client you've worked with who exposes this stuff all the time.
There's a couple of really good ones I think that people would appreciate. One of them is if you see candy, something that's high sugar, a fruit juice, and it will say naturally fat free. Fucking, of course, it's got no fat in it. Like, I mean, like, it's got no animal product. There's no like vegetable fat or whatever.
Right.
It's all freaking sugar.
Right. It's
so of course it's naturally
100% processed white
There was
sugar.
a really, really cool, like, it was like YouTube or something, like a internet meme or something like that, where it was a guy who was selling milk and he put gluten-free on the milk. Because like gluten-free, like people are just like, oh, I'm looking for gluten-free. Well, fucking of course.
Right.
There's no fucking gluten in milk.
Right.
Milk is a dairy product.
Right.
It's not made from whatever wheat and the stuff that causes gluten.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, so those are like examples probably where it's like deceptive, but not false. You know what I mean? Where it's like, this stuff's not good for you. Yeah. Milk, I think is very good for you.
Yeah.
But like, you know, sugar, candy, like being fat free. It's like, who fucking cares whether it's fat free or not?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Like, it's still terrible for you.
A simple strategy for our listeners.
But you're taking advantage of people that are looking for fat-free, gluten-free. You're taking advantage of that stuff and you're putting it freaking in there as if it's like, you know what I mean?
And to tie it to like the blunt force fact number one, which drives a lot of these things, is we're looking for a spike in sales, right?
Yeah. Short term.
We're looking for this short term, like, hey, we're going to do this thing. We're going to do it right before the holidays, or we're going to do it right before like a, whatever, as our product line is about to transition over. So you're looking for this. So you put this out there to get this spike up, but on the end user end, right? So for the end user, if that experience is, if there's all these underlying things in there that get exposed, the long-term benefit might be horrible. And I think where you can relate to how this can play out negatively is a couple key areas. One, we see this massive shift between deceptive marketing and honest upfront marketing in the cell phone arena right now. I believe that that's an area where you can relate to how this translates. And I think some of the bigger companies out there went for these short-term wins of getting clientele in. And then as you got towards the end of your contract, you realized that to get out was a disaster, and not everything you thought was going to be there was really there. So these other cell phone companies recognized it and popped up and said, hey, listen, honest pricing. This is it. This is what you're paying. This is the deal with it. Very simple, easy to understand. Come on over.
You see a lot of that now. There's a lot of legal framework around that too, especially with like Airbnb, where it's like, like you'd start the process thinking, oh, I'm going to pay this amount per night,
right? And
then by the end of it, you find out you've got the big one is the cleaning fee, right? That would get tacked on at the end. Never mind the taxes and the fees and all the other things that go with it. And before you know it, your actual sticker price is but by the time you've gotten to the problem with the deceptive pricing is that by the time you've gotten to the point where you find out what the hidden fees are, you might already be committed in your head to doing it. So you end up just paying them. You want to go back through and like look again through all the properties, right? You end up paying them. And that's where people were pissed. And like the company had a big black eye for this process. And it got worse and worse and worse. Had to get to the point where legal had to get involved. The other, for our people, for our listeners and our watchers, our why is a lot of deceptive promises where it's like, if you purchase this sales process, you will get 5 more clients by next month.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like, I can tell you horror stories of all like we're going to 10x your business.
Yeah.
And I know so many businesses that I have worked with who have bought these programs and failed.
Yeah.
So many, like it's freaking so, and the FTC is actually cracking down on some of this stuff where it's like, you have to show things that you have to say in your marketing. It's like, these results aren't typical, or, results not guaranteed, or it has to be bold. And then the results that you show as an example have to be real, and you can't promise, you know what I mean? Like those types of things. Like I can say, like whenever I go in, like if I'm working on SEO or whatever, and I'm working with a Google client and I'm saying, okay, look, we're going to increase the traffic of your company. And we have been able to do it by this amount in this period of time. I can show you examples of when we've done it, but I have to say, like, look, I always say, with anything I do, it's in every one of my contracts. I say it to the person. It's like, we might not be successful.
You have to.
This might not have any effect, or we might raise your traffic and it might not increase your sales. So it's like that bit of honesty has lost me business because the people want to hear.
But it's probably kept you long-term business.
Sometimes, yeah. Right? Or a lot of people come back.
Right.
Who said no at the beginning.
Yep.
And then they come back. And
you got to look at that factor of it, that you might...
Short-term versus long-term.
Yes. I mean, absolutely, right? So it goes back to that first blunt force fact of, that. And to the second blunt force fact of trust, that is such... I think the pendulum has shifted so much in today's society of people in general wanting to trust what they hear. And I think that has gotten, gone away a little bit from the corporate asterisks that so many companies have put out there. And it was there for so long where it's like, okay, here's all the hidden things. I had a horrific situation with a copier lease that we had just recently. And you lease the copier and it's it's like you're buying a mortgage, right? So you can go through it, you look at it all looks good. But the returning of the copier is a nightmare, an absolute nightmare. And it's expensive. And if you don't return it, they just can keep charging you for it. So they make this return process in the little asterisk so difficult that I would never go back to that company again, ever. Strictly because when it was time to be done with it, it had such, all these hidden prices, and they were not upfront. They were not clear. They were not, you can read through all the document they sent you. Nowhere in there, it might have said, return fees may apply, right? Return fees are one thing, but the fees that they actually you get hit with to do it. And then they have this 3-month policy too, which is complete bullshit.
If you think about a customer retention plan, one of the things I think of in that, I remember we're old now. We're men of a certain age, Gen Z over here, but Gen X right here. And I think that one of the things that you've experienced probably over the time is buying something that you have to return. Mm-hmm. Whether it's a copy machine or whether it's just in Target. Mm-hmm. And in my life, it's kind of evolved 3 ways. The first way was you had to have the receipt or you couldn't get your money back.
Right.
And you'd be like, I don't have the receipt. I just got to return it. I don't need it. It's too big. It's too small. They would not take it back.
Yep.
Then there was this evolution to, we will take it back. No questions asked.
Yep.
And that becomes a math problem, right? And the math problem goes something like this. I'm going to get gamed by this. And people were gaming the system. And that the final evolution came after that. But I'm going to get gamed by just taking things. People would buy things at different stores.
Yep.
And return them and get, store credit or whatever they would get back at the store. But what is it worth it to the company to have that good the customer feel good about returning the product? If I walk into Target with a return and it goes like that, I'm way more likely to go back into the store and find the next thing I'm going to be purchasing.
Right.
If it's frustrating, I'm walking out. And so that's where the math comes in. It's if I can retain more customers and make more money off these people by losing a little bit of money in either a false return or a bad return, because we have to get rid of the product or whatever it is, it wasn't quite above the board, then I'm going to do that all day. Because at the end of the little bits of money I make on that customer over the course of keeping them for years is going to be worth it, that little bit. Now we've seen because of the gaming, now you've seen more people not have no questions asked returns are less likely. There's usually is it tied to the credit card, or instead of giving you money back, they give you the store credit.
Yes.
So it's you can have the money, but you have to use it in this store.
Yep.
But the easier you can make it, the better experience the person has. And I think what happens is, as business owners, we're so worried about the people that are gaming us. We don't think about the consequences of making it hard. I'm sure that copy machine company didn't get to that point right away. They probably had a couple of people who were just here's this copy machine that I freaking destroyed. Like I copied my ass on it, and I put freaking pieces of pizza in there and warmed them up. You know what I mean? Like, and now they're returning it. And now the company's like,
right.
We got to take this back because we don't have anything written down. So now they've made it so convoluted. Well, now you're pissed off and you're talking about it.
Yeah. Yes.
To the thousands of people who watch our videos and listen to our podcast. So what are the examples of good ethics is open and honest pricing.
Absolutely.
I think is a big one.
Yep.
No hidden fees. Like this is what you're paying. Being honest about results.
Yep.
And then also the no questions asked refunds and exchanges. Like you didn't have a good experience. Like this didn't meet your expectations. Yep. We're just going to take it back.
Yep. And if your market, and if part of your marketing campaign to add value is that, then the honesty comes in sticking to that. Then the honesty is like, this is what we said we're doing and this is what we're doing. And we're going to keep the goodwill. We're going to keep the, we're going to do what we say. We're going to deliver on what we said we were going to deliver to continue with building that trust of our clients. I mean, and we're going to offer a worksheet with this one. And it's
surprise worksheet. So you're going to be able to go into the description.
Yes.
And you're going to be able to download this worksheet, which I didn't know about until right now.
Yep. But we're going to, I think there's some value here to you. And now the worksheet is going to be pretty straightforward. You'll be able to outline some of the value, right? So we're going to take your product. We're going to give you some key ways that you can start with that foundation, outline the value, then go into what it is that you're going to offer. And make sure that communication is clear. Where do they, how do you put that out there to the world? And then we're going to bring it full circle and say, help you craft your message with value, truth, and integrity. Because at the end of the day, I think that is the key in being honest and upfront and meeting your clientele with where we need to be and not going down the road of, hey, there's some hidden stuff in here, because it's really easy to do that. And we want to keep you away from too much of that where you're going to lose some of these other things that are really important with maintaining your clientele. So we'll help you craft that.
And if you find a marketing tactic that you think is going to work because you've seen it, like you've seen the false scarcity, you've seen the blinking lights, you've seen the big one is the guarantee sticker that doesn't actually say guarantee on it, or like it just looks like guarantee, or it looks, or you've got these certifications and they're all bullshit and none of them are actually do, but that psychologically it makes the person more likely to buy. Just think through the consequences. I think that's the big thing, is to think through the consequences, because if you get held to account for a misleading or a false promise, that stain, it's like the scarlet letter, right? That stain could hurt you. It hurts you not only with that customer. That customer tells people, they freaking tell everybody in the world about it, and now you've got this other PR thing you might have to deal with.
And let's take that one step further. If there's something that you're thinking of using as a tactic, because that there's value in this tactic, you brought up the guarantee, right? Like if there's value in guarantee.
What did we say? I think that we said that if you put that there's a money back guarantee, you're almost like 85% more likely to close that business.
Yeah. Then offer it. If you then put out there that, hey, this is real, and honor that. So if there's something that you want to use, don't find a way to put that front and center with all these caveats to it that aren't clearly spelled out, because that's how you lose the goodwill. And companies do lose goodwill. And larger company, you brought this up, and I think there's a great way to kind of bring this full circle. Larger companies have the ability to take big loss. They can take big loss knowing that it will be offset by the amount of exposure we have and people that are going to still execute, right? Companies that are operating on a smaller scale than an Amazon or a Kohl's, and I'm not saying any of these companies are deceitful. I'm just using big company examples.
No, lots of money means more room for error.
Companies that can operate very easily with it, and we encourage all of you to have an error percentage in there. But if you're operating, under $10 million a year, that error percentage is going to be much smaller. So this is where the honesty factor is important, because losing a customer for you or 10 customers is much bigger than a larger company that knows, well, we have so much value add. You know, I hate Walmart. I just don't like going in there for my own personal reasons. I don't like going into Walmart.
Was it not because you're bougie?
It's not because I'm bougie, but there are times I go in there because the value add of a Walmart is that I know they're going to have something. They're all over the place. They're convenient. I don't have to go to 10 other stores. So sometimes I'll go in, right? Most of us aren't that. If we lose a customer, we're going to lose it. They're going to find somewhere else to go. So we got to be conscious of that. We have to manage this thing that we watch going on in the world of marketing, that we think we're going to just take this tactic because it's a marketing strategy. Well, it might be a marketing strategy for $1 billion company, but it might not be for you. And I think the key for you is being honest with your promotion, avoiding deception, and marketing your business with real value and real integrity.
Value is a good word. I like value.
Thank
whatever you can do that's going to whenever you're marketing something that's going to make your product more likely people to click on it or purchase it, whatever that more likely thing is does it add actual value? And the more you can do that, the more you're being ethical and honest and I think ultimately effective.
Awesome.
What are the three? Should we wrap it up here? So we're going to have a resource.
There'll be a resource for you. Go into the description, click on the link, get your resource, use it to help you craft your next marketing message with value. Blunt force fact number 1, short-term wins can lead to long-term losing streaks. Blunt force fact number 2, trust is hard to earn but easy to lose. And blunt force fact number 3 is you can't just hide behind the curtain.
Yeah, watch out with the fine print. It could get you into
some legal trouble.
It can get you into legal trouble.
Absolutely.
Yeah, especially nowadays with that. Just pay attention. Every business should be paying attention to the legal frameworks that's happening or legal movements in the country, and especially individual states if you're across states. But that is really coming out, like hidden stuff, hidden boxes, like even like the little pop-up that comes up and says like, opt in for the offer, and there'll be like a little like the opt out is like in like a weird
you barely can see it. It's
exactly
off-white on a white background.
And it says like, no, I'm not interested in, no, I don't like having great business. Like a lot of that stuff is becoming more scrutinized by government regulators, right? So pay attention to that stuff, because even though that will be, you'll more likely to lead to a conversion.
A short-term win.
It's a short-term win, but you might get bit in the ass by that if you get sued by the government. You know what I mean? They're like, hey, like this is a fine now. Every time that pop-up came up, and that's not happening right now, but like that's the sort of shit that comes down. Like especially with like the cookie policies, like the tracking stuff on the websites. You see the little thing, opt in and out, opt out of the cookies and stuff like that. If you are accumulating people's data and not telling about it, and you're selling in California, like every single time a person from California comes and does a transaction, you could be liable for a fine.
Yeah.
And if you multiply that by thousands of people, you could be out of business really, really quick. The moral of the story is just be upfront. Just don't be an asshole. Just be out here. Here's the policy. Here's what we're doing. Don't have to worry about it.
That's it. Love it.
Sorry, tangent.
Pretty good. I'm Brian LaFauci.
Patrick Marino.
Till next time.
Thank you.